Reverse culture shock happens a lot. It basically is when you return home or you return to your previous country and you're a little shocked about what happens. And the most important part of that, and the most important is you've already been relatively comfortable in that new culture, and going back to your old culture scares you a little bit because you've already learned new attitudes and behaviors, and that allows you to be in a different position. And going back to your home country or going back to your previous country where you lived makes it a little bit more difficult. And when I went to college, I went back to Texas. I went to a small town, this place called Sherman, and everyone asked me, and they said, what was it like going to and moving to Doha, Qatar? And I told them that it was crazy, but the fact of the experiences coming back was a little bit more difficult. And that's what reverse culture shock is about. Basically, it's saying, you're so used to that. And when I lived in the Middle East, I was so used to people covering up and people wearing, like they wear abayas, and the women wear abayas, which basically covers their entire body. And, I went back to the States and there are people wearing shorts and t-shirts, and I wasn't used to that, and I was a little shocked about it. And it's normal, it's very confusing. And my friends used to joke around with me, and they were like, oh wow, you're so you're so, I can't really figure out the word for it, but you're just so composed, and you're very, you don't like showing skin and that sort of thing. And the thing about that is, it wasn't because I didn't like showing skin, it was because of the culture that I had been in for the past 4 years. And it's hard to go back to a situation because of, for example, I lived in Doha for 4 years, and those 4 years I didn't eat during Ramadan. I didn't wear tank tops, I didn't wear shorts. I was very conservative when I came to my clothing. And going back to the States where everyone was in bathing suits and tank tops and shorts and showing a lot of skin was very, very difficult for me. And so reverse culture shock is something that's very important, and especially for however long you live there. So if you live in a place for more than, I have to say, maybe a year or 2 years, it's very easy to have reverse culture shock, but after a while you'll be okay.